It's time you change all of your opinions about the economy, social issues, systemic racism, healthcare, and history. But literally, that is their plan. As former Trump White House aide Mercedes Schlapp put it, at the end of the day, I think it unifies the party, but expands it into the area we need to. The suburban moms, the college-educated men that we struggled with in 2020, there's common ground with these constituencies. It's a tale as old as time, honestly. Find people who don't necessarily agree with them on social issues, but are sympathetic to them, and then balloon the censorious, Orwellian political correctness gone amok to get people on your reasonable side. Yes, it was cancel culture to criticize the president's daughter for some dumb fucking tweet about Goya beans. Cancel culture is ISIS, a disclaimer from the fucking Muppets about some racially insensitive material, not pulling it or censoring it, but a disclaimer before showing the whole thing. That's cancel culture. They canceled the Muppets that I can watch after having to read, "This program includes negative depictions and or mistreatment of people or cultures. These stereotypes were wrong then and are wrong now. Rather than remove this content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact, learn from it, and spark conversations to create a more inclusive future together." They canceled me not reading that. Impeaching a president is constitutional cancel culture. Major League Baseball moving a game from a state, cancel culture. Boycotting South African apartheid, probably cancel culture. The American Revolution, you bet your ass that's a cancel culture. Andrew Cuomo being called on to resign after multiple sexual harassment complaints, motherfucking cancel culture. Some fucking chart, cancel culture. Turning off a lamp, you've canceled light. A stop sign, well that cancels going. The specter of cancel culture, as most people frame it, is a political tool for politicians and a money tool for entertainers. It is their greatest grift. Cancel culture is more lucrative than Pokemon cards, NBA Top Shot, Beanie Babies, and Funko Pops put together. Funky Mon B-Abies. Of course, if you're Gina Carano, you can do both. She's probably got a basement full of Cara Dune Funkos that will be worth a fortune in 5 years. But outrage, you can always monetize that. Just ask our old friend Ben Shapiro.
And this is kind of a fascinating poll because it asks Republicans and Democrats what they think are the biggest problems facing the United States. What are the biggest problems? Of all the problems facing the United States, which ones are the biggest? And this explains where the future of the culture war is going. Because the reality is that we cannot have a country together if half of the country would like for the other half of the country to just go away, or if half of the country sees the other half of the country as a true and ever-present threat to their liberties, or if it turns out that some people actually are a true and ever-present threat to their liberties.
For once, I agree, kind of, with Ben Shapiro. Incredible. Yes, he's right. We can't have a country where half the country hates the other half. Except, well, if we all got along, how would Ben Shapiro be able to sell you gold?
I don't need to get into the social ramifications, but fiscally, you can expect compounded growth of the national debt and the systematic devaluation of the United States dollar over time. So there really is only one question. What are you doing right now to protect your savings and your retirement? Now, I know the people at Birch Gold. I trust the people at Birch Gold. I've been working with the people at Birch Gold for literally years at this point.
Ben Shapiro is right that politicians and media figures on both sides weaponize your anger and use that negative energy for their own personal gain. He is intimately familiar with both weaponizing this practice and pretending he takes no part in it. And yet, that is exactly what Ben Shapiro and people like him have to do to convince people to part with their money. It's a lot harder to sell boner pills, precious metals, a mug labeled as the tears of your political enemies, or tinfoil diapers when you aren't wetting yourself with terror at the thought of what the other side is going to do if they're in power. This was the great lesson of our dearly departed America's sweetheart, Rush Limbaugh.
There are very few people in this world that create an entire industry. Elvis, you know, the king of rock and roll. Even the Beatles followed Elvis, you know.
Thank you, Rush Limbaugh. What a trailblazer he was. Rush was exactly like Elvis. If Elvis became famous calling college students sluts on a nationally broadcast radio show instead of, you know, playing the guitar.
For 2 days, Rush Limbaugh has eviscerated Sandra Fluke on the radio.
What does it say about the college co-ed Susan Fluke, who goes before a congressional committee and essentially says that she must be paid to have sex? What does that make her? It makes her a slut, right?
Rush Limbaugh absolutely was a pioneer in that he made that level of toxic discourse acceptable in the United States of America and around the world. The so-called cancel culture or political correctness could not thrive in America without its polar opposite, the slovenly, hateful rhetoric of the right-wing media machine flinging its fetid bodily fluids through the bars of its prison cell like Miggs from Silence of the Lambs. Do we have a clip? No, we're not doing that? Okay. A posturing of truth-telling in the face of PC culture as an excuse to be racist, homophobic, sexist, etc. The PC police don't want you to, laugh and celebrate when people die of AIDS. Oh, and here's a passage from one of his books from literally almost 30 years ago, complaining about college students protesting on campus and Jesse Jackson and Marxists. And also, he lies about it. The idea that the left is using cancel culture or political correctness or cultural Marxism and mob tactics to destroy Western civilization is prevalent today, yes. But again, it's old news. Check out this f***ing clip from the 90s.
For the first time, Americans today are not free to say what they think. If they say something deemed offensive or insensitive or, worst of all, hate speech, they may be in serious trouble. They may be punished for violating the unholy commandments of the 90s, commonly known as political correctness. But is political correctness a new phenomenon? We'll show you tonight that political correctness has been in the making for more than 8 decades. And it seems that a deteriorating society is exactly what political correctness strives for. But just what is political correctness? As you're about to see, political correctness is nothing less than a Marxist ideology. Marxism translated from economic into cultural terms in an effort going back not to the 1960s, but to World War I.
That's William Lind of the Free Congress Foundation and one of the key spreaders of the anti-Semitic cultural Marxism conspiracy theory, Frankfurt School, all that. I won't share the whole video, but it's virtually indistinguishable from the stuff these twerps talk about now. Cancel culture, critical race theory, the destruction of the West. Not new, just boring. Now, I could make some tortured analogies about Batman and the Joker here, how the two bumbling, ideologically incoherent factions of American politics need each other to continue draining every last living soul in this nation of their dignity, self-respect, and their paychecks. But I won't. I'm not going to say that Democrats are Batman, impotently mumbling moral platitudes while never actually making anything tangibly better. I'm not going to tell you that Republicans are the Joker, only focused on huffing paint, making memes, and setting a big pile of money on fire to own the libs. I'm not going to do that. I'm not here to make someone else's movie. No, I've already released a feature-length video about other people's films. Today, I announced that I am going to write and direct the greatest movie ever made about cancel culture, which will simultaneously get me canceled, allowing me to make yet another film about my persecution. The title of this movie is Harold and Kumar Say the N-Word, and it is repulsive. There's all kinds of awful stuff in it. Also, I've recast Harold and Kumar with Kevin Sorbo and Rob Schneider, and I forgot that this video is sponsored, so maybe it's Harold and Kumar Say Black Lives Matter. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Why does cancel culture exist in the first place? Rush Limbaugh wasn't the first person in the world to combine moral outrage with antisocial, hateful rhetoric. We have to go all the way back to the Red Scare of post-war America to see the first full flowering of this tactic within mass media. I mean, sure, we had tabloid journalism, thanks to people like William Randolph Hearst using their publishing empires to vilify anyone or anything they didn't agree with. But the hysteria around communist infiltration of American society was one of the earliest, most blatant attempts by the right to take people's rights away for their beliefs. The Communist Control Act of 1954, signed by Republican President Dwight Eisenhower, criminalized any participation in communist organizations. This unambiguously sought to take away the rights of American citizens purely for what they believed. The Communist Control Act is pretty much unenforceable because it's barely constitutional, but it served its purpose, scaring people into submission. The conventional wisdom is that all that anti-communist hysteria went away after the shame of the McCarthy hearings made America wake up to the dangers of policing people's political views. Except it never did. It simply became the big business it is today. We put each other on trial every day on 24-hour news, on social media, and on podcasts. No one actually believes anything they say either. Ann Coulter can say all manner of awful shit about Jewish people, but Jewish man Ben Shapiro lets that